Legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed. Breathing in through our noses and out through our mouths. Feeling the power of you controlling your breathing. Knowing, remembering, it's the same power we use to control our thinking. Now use that power. Use your determination to see in your mind today your best effort in all the exercises, stretches, movements we do here together. See it in your mind right now. See yourself doing the best you can, giving the best effort you've ever done for anything. Maybe you want to visualize the last time we did these exercises and stretches together. Go there and think right now about what you could do better or differently this time. It's the same process we use to grow our minds and grow the strength and health of our bodies and energy.
In the night I lie and look up at you. When the morning comes I watch you rise. There's a paradise they couldn't capture, that bright infinity inside your eyes.
매일 밤 내게 날아가 또 잃은 것도 잊은 채 나 웃으며 너를 만나 Never ending forever baby You are my universe and I just want to put you first You are my universe and you make my world light up inside
어둠이 내겐 더 변했었지 길어진 그림자 속에서
And the thought that we can't be together Because we come from different sides You are my universe and I just want to put you first You are my universe and you make my world light up inside My universe My universe My universe Make my world light up inside 나를 밝혀주는 건 너란 사랑으로 수놓아진 별내 우주에 넌 다른 세상을 만들어주는 걸 너는 내 별이자 나의 호주니까 지금 이 시련도 결국엔 잠시니까 너는 언제까지나 지금처럼 밝게만 빛나줘 우리는 너를 따라 이긴 밤을 수놓고 너와 함께 날아가 When I'm without you I'm crazy 자 어서 내 손을 잡아 We are made of each other baby You are my universe and I just want to put you first
Morning, guys. Another major fear we have in our lives is the fear of old age or a fear of getting old. This is one that is really tough to overcome. It's a real tough one to control. But I want to share with you one line from Napoleon Hill, which I read and listened to over and over, and has helped me so much because this is what the thought that I replace when I get that negative thought that I'm getting old. And the thought is this: you're not getting old. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you are actually gaining wisdom and understanding. So when someone says, oh, you're over 40 or 50 or whatever it is, you're getting old, don't say that you're getting old. Say that you are blessed to have reached the age of wisdom and understanding. That was the line, actually. That's the thing that I hold on to each and every day. So you are gaining wisdom and understanding, and you are blessed, and feel grateful for that every moment. Have a great day, everyone.
Many of you know I'm not a parent, but before you log off, I'm the product of two parents. So I'm hoping to speak from another perspective that shares the biggest things I'm most grateful my parents did for me. Many of you know my parents are Nigerian American, so it's going to be a very animated call, so prepare for that. Number one, prioritizing education beyond the classroom. There's a quote that says, "Don't let school get in the way of your education." And I think that's so important. Many of you probably understand, and I mean, it's well known now that you don't have to go to college in order to be successful in this world. There are a lot of the most successful founders today are college dropouts, or they just avoided college altogether. I'm glad that my parents pushed education towards me. They wanted me to go to college. They wanted me to get that degree. But I love that learning wasn't just something that was done in school. Everything was always a moment to learn. And by prioritizing education as an adult now, I can see how that's translated. I am so eager to read books just to read, just to learn. Like my friends now who, like, and again, nothing against clubs, going to clubs and bars, that's cool. I'm like, oh no, I just picked up a new book. I just went to the bookstore, I got a new book. I think I'm just gonna, like, Glo, are you okay? Like you seem, I'm like, I'm just hungry to learn. There's this beauty and this hunger that you can really instill in kids at a young age when you show them the power and the results of an education. So prioritizing education, it came before anything. It came before sports, it came before music, came before family gatherings. I might have resented it at the time, but it was the best thing that they did. Number two, enrolling me in arts and sports. My parents enrolled me in arts and sports as young as 7 years old. I played the alto saxophone, the trombone, and the piano. Now, I was that band geek. I literally remember I was like a chubby little kid, and I would have to walk with my big trombone in my hand, and my cheeks were really, I had like chipmunk cheeks because my baby fat and stuff. So I'm like, Mom, but I was an actual band geek. And what I loved about the arts section in music is that it taught me collaboration and discipline and teamwork. There's a quote that says, "Earth without art is just eh." Art is a powerful and beautiful thing. Everything that you enroll your kids in doesn't have to translate into something that's going to have a financial success or some type of financial gain. Sometimes art is a beautiful thing to explore just for a child or a kid to explore what they love and to see them kind of entertain a skill set that they can carry with them through life. To this day, 25 years later, I still play the piano. And it has nothing to do with business. It is just the way I feel my spirit. Because as you know, you should be doing things that fill your mind, fill your spirit, and fill your body. So to fill my spirit, I play the piano. So I'm so thankful for the art section. Now, sports on the other side of that, maybe that feels a little masculine, but get this. I played basketball, softball, tennis, and golf. Basketball, I went all the way to semi-pro. I played in Spain overseas. Tennis, I went all the way to college with that. So I played collegiately, singles and doubles in college for tennis. And then golf and softball, I played until high school. Now, golf was almost a joke. So you can imagine if I'm playing 4 sports in a high school season, there is no time for me to look at boys. My mom was smart. She knew what she was doing. There's no time for me to flirt, no time for me to get in trouble, no time for me to be on the streets getting into mess that I'm not supposed to be getting into. So the sports not only, again, taught me the discipline and the teamwork and the collaboration, it kept me busy. So I really appreciate the sports side as well. Now, when I look back on some of my favorite memories as just playing team sports, because so basketball was the one that I went the furthest in, you are going to have so much conflict playing a team sport. And you know, the beautiful thing about that, most of, I think, American culture, we're taught like conflict avoidance, not conflict management. So we go through our entire lives avoiding conflict, never having those hard discussions, never confronting people who you need to confront. And so a team, it's like you're on the court, you got 3 seconds left, you got to decide who's making the game-winning shot. Like, you have got to talk about it. And then it doesn't go your way, you got to debunk it. You got to watch the tape afterwards. There's so much like conflict management and conflict resolution skills that I also learned with playing sports. So super grateful for that. Number 3 kind of goes along with number 1, entering us in reading and spelling bee competitions. I say us because I'm one of 6 kids. So my mom was kind of, if you've seen the movie King Richard, I think she also had a little bit of a strategy just to keep popping babies out until one of them is the superstar. It kind of works maybe. But what I loved about the reading competitions, again, it goes into learning. It made reading competitive for me. It made me develop drive. It helped me learn. I wasn't just reading to be smarter. I was reading to like win competitions. So again, I developed this very competitive spirit at a young age. And what do you need? What comes out of competition? When you're backed up against the wall and you're facing adversity, what do you lean on? Inner strength, your mind, willpower, discipline, focus, all of these things that I pulled out of sports and arts and reading competitions. I now inject that into everyday life as an adult, into my business, as a person trying to navigate this world, okay? So those reading competitions were huge. Number 4, teaching respect. Now, I can't remember which country in Asia this was, but there's this like rule where students and kids don't learn anything scholarly. They learn manners and respect for the first like 6 to 7 years of their life. I'm like, imagine a world where respect was like, that was the education for the first years of your life. How much kinder would this world be? And so again, Nigerian culture in the home, you do not dare pass my mother without saying good morning. Even sometimes I would just be running to the bathroom. I'm like, please don't see me. Please don't see me. And I'm just like, just want to go to the bathroom. I just don't feel like talking. It's 4 a.m. because my mom wakes up at like 4 to pray. If you're an African or you have African parents, you understand the prayer lines at 4 and 5 a.m. But Gloria, you can't say good morning. Why you're going to pass me without saying good morning? And I'm like, good morning, mother. Good morning. And it became ingrained. Good afternoon, good evening. And now as an adult, I pass by strangers. I'll be in the elevator. I'll just randomly, oh, good morning, sir. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I just see how shocked people get that I greet them so politely. And I'm like, oh, I get it. It wasn't just about like you giving me a hard time at 4 a.m. It was teaching me how to navigate the world, to treat others with kindness and respect.
Guys, in our top 10 rules for success with Oprah Winfrey, today she shares with us rule number 9, which is stay grounded. So as we're on this path, and as she's been on her path, what's helped her is she's always had this centered focus, and the centered focus on her being. And as she's focused on what she really is and how she's developing herself, her very essence, her core, her being, that also fuels her compassion for others, because she understands what it's like to work on yourself and how hard it is. So let's remember that as you're working on yourself, as you're trying to become the greatest version of you, remember that those around you are the same. We're all the same. We're all going through those struggles. So if we come from a place of compassion, empathy, and understanding for those around us, we build that also within us. Whatever we become, whatever we are, we share that with others. We help them become their true self too. Have a great day, everyone. I hope this helps.
I loved doing the rom-coms, but I was getting the scripts and I felt like I could do the same script tomorrow morning. And I was like, that's fine, but I want something that's going to make me sweat in my boots. I want some work that's going to challenge me, make me go, I'm scared of this role for all the right reasons, and I can't wait to go attack it. That's what I was looking for, and I wasn't getting that in the rom-coms. So I stopped doing rom-coms. I said no. Well, for the first 6 months of not doing rom-coms, I wasn't doing anything. Only thing that came in was rom-coms. I said no. And for 14 more months, nothing came in. I considered other careers. Didn't know if I'd ever work again. But after 20 months of being gone, unbranding as I now call it, being out of sight, not being in your theater or your living room in a rom-com, not seeing me shirtless on the beach, I became a new good idea for some of those dramatic roles. Because where's he been? I don't know. I haven't seen him. Where has he been?
Need motivation?
Watch your top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because when I started my first business, I really struggled to believe in myself. I was making $300 a month and quit on my business partner. And the thing that saved me was watching the stories of successful entrepreneurs. They gave me strategies as well as hope and belief that just maybe I could do it myself as well. And I hope that this video here today helps you get a little bit more belief in yourself, because I still need the videos for myself today too. So today let's learn from one of the best, Matthew McConaughey, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
Why do you pursue things that scare you? Why seek the role that's hard?
Because it cost me something. Because it cost. It comes with a price. It's a bit of that line, don't pick a fight, kid. It's not really a fight unless you can lose it. It's not really, it's not really a risk unless you can lose the fight. I feel more alive in them. I have an experience in the making of them. I'm nervous every day I come to work. I feel like when I nail a day and I knock it and I know I did, I feel like, yes, I have a measure at the end of the day of like, you set out to do something, you prepared for it, you had intention, and you did it. And maybe even found some magic in the day. That I sleep good knowing that I accomplished that day in building the architecture of a character's arc through a story. And then if I could put the whole thing together, and it comes out, one whole performance turns out to be a beautiful song, an original song of that character, then I'm like, yes. And I know that I was highly responsible for that. I was not solely responsible, but the most responsible for that. And that gives me pleasure. That gives me gratification. That makes me feel, gives me significance. That gives me confidence. If I don't pull it off, and I do have a day where I'm like, oh, no, you didn't ever, and it was my fault. I would rather, with these kind of roles, I can look in the mirror and go, so guess who's responsible for not pulling it off? You, McConaughey. In the same way, when I go, guess who's responsible for pulling it off? I like knowing who, you. And it was also, again, work that challenged the vitality of my life. Dramatic roles allow you, the actor, to have as high of a ceiling or as low of a basement, from love to hate, from happiness to pain, as that particular actor wants to bring to it. That's what's inherently beautiful about dramas. Okay, you're the part. You're playing the role. Are you going to emulate that person through yourself? That is a vital thing. That I feel, that makes me sweat. That makes me sleep better at the end of the day. That gives me a sense of accomplishment. I'm like, yes, I did what I intended to do. I prepared for it, was ready. Oh, the day didn't go how I thought it was going to go, but I called audibles along the way, enrolled, and still told the truth on my man, the character. That gratification feels good.
Rule number 2 is stop sabotaging yourself.
How did you not self-sabotage when you were just getting hit after hit and opportunity after opportunity and you were going downhill? How do you not do that where you self-sabotage, and what do you recommend for other people so they don't do it when the opportunities are coming?
Great topic, because I have tripped myself running downhill before. I have face planted, broke my nose and to proverbially make sure I was felt. It's like you don't need to go that hard. You know what I mean? We don't need to draw blood, McConaughey, just to make sure we can feel. So there's been times I have not been graceful when I was running downhill. But I shook hands with the fact that, okay, obviously it means you give a damn, McConaughey. Obviously it means you're trying to read through the mendacities of life. You're trying to get down to the common denominator about what really matters to you. You're trying to understand all this affluence and things coming to you that you never had yesterday that now you have, and you want 80 hours in a day, but they're still only given 24. I got to get some discernment in here. And for me, I've had the ability, and I have taken what I call fugamundi, a walkabout. I have taken those solo trips with myself. What we talked about earlier in the conversation, gone to a place where I could hear myself think, where I could get my head and my heart aligned. In those times of great affluence, sometimes it's all heady. Mm-hmm. And I have a piece in the book about when you can, ask yourself if you want to before you do. Well, in times of great influence, we have a lot of I can in front of us.
Tons of opportunity.
And too many options can make a tyrant out of anybody.
Yeah.
So it's a very heady thing. And sometimes that's times when it's like, okay, this all makes sense in my head, but I don't really feel it inside my spirit. I don't know if it's really me, if it's really good for me, if this is going to turn me on and help me be and feed me. But geez, I mean, I've never had the option before. It sounds awesome. I mean, yes. Well, that's not a bad thing to do, but we got to check in on that, because you can look up and the tank can be on reserve. Yeah. When you look in the rearview mirror and go, whoa, I over leveraged myself with things that did not feed me and pay me back. And so how do we need to take that time to go check in? And it can be a hairy time, man, because the answers don't come quickly sometimes.
Yeah.
And when they don't come and you're shaking monkeys off your back and you're not enjoying your own company and none of it makes sense and it's all confusing and you're looking over there and you want to go, well, you want to go to entertainment or communication, or you want to pick up the phone, or you want to drink earlier, or one of those things that come up to mask that, you got to try to hold back and say, no, I'm going to sit in this discomfort. This is a penance I am taking to get to know myself and listen to myself.
Rule number 3 is start journaling.
I've been keeping journals since I was 14 years old. And so I guess starting 15 years ago, I would always carry this treasure chest full of the journals I'd been keeping, and they were filling up that treasure chest. And I would take it with me to any place that we went for an extended amount of time, put it over there to the right of my proverbial desk and go, have it there, because if you get the itch and you get some time, I dare you to go on that treasure chest and see what's in there. Well, I've threatened to open up that treasure chest and see what those journals held for the past 15 years. Didn't have the courage really to open it up. Didn't want to make the time to go in there because I was intimidated of looking back at 50 years or however many years of my life. I'm not one for really liking to look back over my shoulder. I'm somebody who likes to, I'm still someone who rather enjoys making the sandwich more than eating it. I like making my movies more than I even like watching them. I like doing things, moving on, and heading forward. So,
well, you must have had some idea too when you were making those journals, at least in principle, that you owed an obligation to yourself at some point to look back over them. And I can see that would be intimidating because you're creating a task for yourself, a task of reconsideration and contemplation, I suppose.
Well, my excuse was, when I die, Camilla will open them up, and if there's something worth sharing, she'll do it. Which was an excuse in martyrdom, if there's something worth it.
Rule number 4 is be inquisitive.
When you went back and looked at your journals, were you surprised at the wisdom of some of the things that you said when you were younger? Was there anything that stuck out that you didn't expect?
Obviously, the earlier diary entries were whys, why, what, where, when, hows. It was the questions. There was a question mark after everything. So I was always seeking the questions. As I evolved and got older, I started to answer some of those questions and could sum them up in a wisdom bomb or an aphorism or a bumper sticker, right? But it didn't lead to any fewer questions. My questions evolved, I think. But as I said earlier, the questions I was asking at 14 about existence and who am I and what matters and what's life about, how the world works, who am I in this world? I still question those.
But to interrupt you quickly there, it is unusual for a 14-year-old to be asking those kinds of questions. So I'm curious, like, where do you think that comes from in you?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because we weren't raised as a very introspective family. We always have our prayer and gratitude as a family. We were raised as consistent extroverts. I mean, like I wasn't allowed to watch TV or read because my mom would say, why read about or watch somebody do something that you can go do yourself? Get outside.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm living a dream, but it's how everyone feels. We all unite with one feel. So let's wave our hands. We can sing, we can dance. We are strong, hold on tight. From afar we unite. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our. This is the time of our. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah, here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. I love this moment right now. No one can take it away. So let it happen and how. It's why I cherish each day. So let's wave our hands. We can sing, we can dance. We are strong, hold on tight. From afar we unite.
Here we go.
Ah yeah, ah yeah. Here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah. Here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives. Ah yeah, ah yeah. Here we go, ah yeah. This is the time of our lives.
wants support, but he wants the glory for himself. Oh, what a goal! What a wonderful strike from Rafael Borre!
Good morning, guys. I want to share a story with you today to highlight how we can still laugh, live, and love our way to infinite mind wealth. And it is this. There was an altercation, not an altercation, there was a situation with my family, between two family members, and you could see that they were both trying desperately to be understood. And I laugh inwardly now because I always make this mistake too, and I want us to remember it. But we can laugh about it because it's difficult. The idea of trying to understand somebody first when you are emotional and you're trying to get your point across and you want to be understood, that's very difficult. And we can laugh at it when it's done, because it just shows you that even though it's very difficult, it's so important. And if we're willing to do it, we can see great results in our relationship. So I was inwardly chuckling at what happened between two of my family members, but I've done that before, and I thought we could just laugh about it. And remember, always seek to understand first. Have a great day.
When life strikes us, we feel that internal reaction to the external world. It's still what's going on inside. How do we release that? How do we let that go?
My experience is, first of all, there are things you can do, but the same things everybody else teaches, which is don't hit somebody. To learn to shut your mouth up. Don't let that express through your mouth, because you're going to pay for that. The first thing is a certain amount of self-control, which we all need in order to be successful. But that's not the answer. The answer is every single moment. It's not the big stuff that you work with. That's too late. It already bothered you. Yes, you have to deal with it. But what I want and what I've learned is there is every moment of your life little things that create little irritations. The driver's driving 15 miles an hour below the speed limit in front of you and you're in a rush. You will watch your mind cause serious problems, all right? So to me, that is where the growth comes from, in those moments.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because as a young entrepreneur, I struggled to keep my business going. I had no friends, I had no mentors, I had no role models. And the thing that saved me was learning from the success stories of famous entrepreneurs. And in their stories, I got motivation, and I also got strategies for what I could do to grow my business and not stay stuck. And I still need their stories for motivation today. So today, let's learn from one of the best, McConaughey singer, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy.
Are you willing to say, come on, what's the cost-benefit analysis of bothering myself about the driver in front of me? It's not bothering them. I guarantee you, they're not hearing a word you're saying, right? So as a business person, we're supposed to take cost-benefit analysis, the maximum benefit for the least cost. Those are 100% cost, zero benefit. Right or wrong?
It's all pain.
So you don't do it. So you learn, and there are lots of techniques. You just learn to work with yourself. You can neutralize it by saying something nice. You can get a mantra going inside so you pay attention to something else instead of that. Or my ultimate teaching, and it's yours also in a sense, is you relax. You relax. You just sit there and say, I can relax and breathe. It's okay that this is happening. And then what you're doing is allowing the energy to release. The whole idea is you don't engage with it. You sit behind it and you allow it to release. And not only do you go through that moment okay now, right? But you've actually let some of that stored up stuff that's causing the problem. Like, what is road rage? It's somebody who, because somebody beeped at them or is driving slow, has so much stuff inside of them that it needs an excuse to come out. That's it. Okay? So we all, I hope we don't all, right? But we all have stuff inside that we've stored over our lives. So by backing off and letting go in these simple little situations, they matter. It matters that you're complaining about the heat. You understand that, right? It's not innocent. You're permitting, sometimes you get very angry about some stupid thing. You're giving a channel for your stuff to come up.
And you're wiring yourself to complain.
Exactly.
Wrong,
And so instead, you relax. It's called R&R. You get R&R, relax and release, right? And what will happen is not only do you make it past that moment without causing a lot of trouble and taking out all kinds of stuff, but you let some of that stuff go. And you get into the habit of realizing, hey, I don't want that stuff inside of me.
Rule number 2 is make better decisions.
Instead of looking at the decision you're trying to make, ask yourself, what are you trying to get from this decision? What's your motive? What you're going to find out is every single time it is either I'm trying to make a decision that will make me feel better, make me happier in the future, let me achieve a better state inside myself where I'm more content, and more excited, more enthused, feel higher, etc. Or I'm trying to make a decision that will save me from having to experience something that I don't want to experience. Which way can I choose this so it's a path of least resistance? So you find that the motive behind your decision, as opposed to getting all involved in the decision, you step back and say, what am I trying to achieve? And you're going to see that it's either a desire or a fear. You're trying to achieve a desire by moving to New York or moving to California, which won't work for me, right? You're trying to make your mind be psychic to figure out which one will make you happier versus I'm trying to avoid a situation that I don't want. And then you take a look at that and you realize what I'm really trying to decide is how to be happy inside, how to be in a better state inside myself. Well, why don't I say that honestly? It's not really about this decision. It's about how can I find a more beautiful state inside myself? And that's where it leads to yoga. That's where it leads, everything leads to spirituality, because it says the state you're looking for is inside yourself. What in the world has it got to do with where you live or what your job is or who you're married? It's got to do with how you're doing inside yourself. Why don't you work on that a little bit instead of trying to put the burden on your mind of thinking that some decision you're going to make down the road is going to decide the quality of your life? Because the truth of the matter is the state of your being is going to determine the quality of your life. If you're whole, if you're complete, if you're enthused, if you're filled with love, it doesn't matter which place you live in. You're going to be wonderful. And if you're disturbed inside, it's not California or New York that's going to make the difference. It does for a short period of time because it's new, and therefore you're more open to it. So you step back behind the decision and you look to see where you're coming from. And at some point, if you come deep enough at looking at that, you'll realize I have put a burden on my mind of saying this is going to determine the quality of my life. And it's not true. You're going to determine the quality of your life. So at least come back to that center, that deep center inside that undercuts all this. Then you're going to find out that you don't put the pressure on yourself with that decision. And often it will unfold naturally. It doesn't mean you don't make a decision, not indecision, but you'll find that if you get rid of the noise inside of you, you'll be able to see more clearly what is actually happening and what is maybe a better way to serve, a better way to balance the energies, as opposed to how can I make myself happy with this decision or how can I avoid my fears with this decision.
Rule number 3 is be present.
It is always highest thing you can do to harmonize with the moment that is unfolding in front of you. That goes for business, goes for relationships, goes for sports, goes for children. So many people make it so anxious to bring up a child. Oh my God, what do I need to do? Oh, it's the most natural thing in the world. Be present in the moment with each stage the child is going through and bring your best game. Not for you, but I wanted to be a lawyer. I was never, nah, don't you dare do that. You come into the moment with the child and you try to hear what they're saying, you try to see what they're going through, and you try to see how you can raise that moment to the best of your ability. That's all you can do. That's the highest thing you can do, and it will end up with the highest results that can possibly happen. You need to
And here we are again. Legs crossed, back straight, eyes closed, deep breaths in through our noses and out through our mouths. The way we began. The way it all begins, always. Always with our thoughts. Our powerful minds, which are always subject to our control, no matter how hard it's been to control them. We know the truth, don't we? We saw it today in our effort. We see it every day in life, in the gym of life. We know that we have the power to determine what thoughts we will act upon, and therefore we also have that power to determine what feelings we will allow to flow out and through us. Because our feelings are ultimately connected to our thinking. And if we control our breath with our thoughts, we can always control our thoughts and therefore our feelings.